Coalesce podcast. My name's Grant.
And I'm Meg.
And today we're going to take a look at a really interesting question. And Meg and I were talking about this just a little bit beforehand, but there's kind of this thing of what if we wanted to have a list of all the questions, but instead of showing a bunch of details, like showing all the answers, we just want a count of the answers, right? Say, hey, this question has 4 answers or 5 answers or 7 answers, or maybe only has 1 and you want to be able to check that kind of stuff. And so let's just talk about a couple ways to do this. So one way we can do it is literally use exactly the data here where you're returning the question and all the answers, and you would just, for your display value, instead of displaying all the questions, you would just display a count, right? So that you just say count of or length of that array.
Just do it right on the front end.
And just do it right on the front end. Yep. Now, what's the downside?
Downside is you're getting a lot more data back than you really want.
Right. We're not going to use all that data. And I was working on a project this weekend where the child collection could be like 1,000 things. And then I needed to know like how many of those 1,000 had errors, how many of them needed extra kind of processing, and just how many there were. Like you wanted to see how many had processed all the way through. And so it's like, oh, that's a lot. And how do I do that? There's no way I can return all the data. And so like another option would be to do a service, right? And so you can just build a service that returned that data. Now, the downside of a service is that you have to then do all of your paging and filtering and sorting and all that stuff by hand.
You don't get those nice data sources, and you don't get all that Coalesce out of the box.
Right. You don't get all the out of the box stuff, which makes it, I mean, sure, can you do it? Absolutely. But then I have to implement a whole bunch of things. Now, if I'm only going to ever have 10 things and I just need to return them, well, then a service is probably the right answer. But for this, there was going to be, thousands and thousands of primary records, as well as thousands of child records that we needed to kind of sift through. And I wanted to kind of optimize that as much as I could. Now, you can also put counts up in your main object. Like you could add count of errors, count of pending, and total count.
Just computed properties.
And just computed properties, right? And so you either have to run everything through EF and basically manage that and basically have a layer, like a repository layer on top that makes sure it updates. So whenever the child object updates, because in that case, when your child property updates, like moves from like pending to completed or pending to error, you then have to update the counts, maybe of 2 different counts. So you have to make sure all that stuff really stays in alignment. And so the way I wanted to do it was just, can I calculate this thing on the fly? And so the question is, how do you do that?
And it can just get tricky too. I mean, when you get really complex views where you want to put a bunch of different tables together with all the paging around that and stuff. So there's a couple of cases here where it can just be tricky to use a base data source.
Yeah, and this really allows for flattening of data in a lot of ways. Now, it turns out that what we're going to show you, what's going to be called a standalone entity, can also be used for other things. Like if I'm not even in EF and I want to use something else. So if you go and look at the Coalesce documentation pages around standalone entity, you actually see one there that's a little bit of a contrived example, but it does show like, what if I wanted to just base it off of a dictionary or something else, like a file data source, like literally you could do that. And it would have all the niceness of Coalesce. You just have to write in all of your own stuff when it comes to how the entity is actually going to be saved and loaded and queried and all that kind of stuff. You just have to do all those things. So we're going to do this with our database stuff as the example here. And we're going to show the question name and an account of the questions. We're just going to create an endpoint that does that. So what we need to do is create a new class that has all of the properties that we're going to need. And we were kind of debating on where do we actually put this, because it's not a model, so we're not going to put it in the models folder because the models are the Entity Framework models. And so let's make, I guess, a standalone or standalone entities.
Like
folder.
entities or standalone entities. Something like this.
And then we can call this a question summary or something like that. I should have a good name there.
I like question summary.
Question summary. Okay.
You've already got a name. I'll go with that.
Perfect. Awesome. So what we need to do is we need to have an ID field, and the ID field actually has to be named ID. And we're going to have to set that, but that does have to be named ID so that it's consistent across all the different things, because we're trying to figure out what exactly is this key.
Yep. And I think we do have to decorate this as well, right? With a standalone entity.
Yes. So the Coalesce parts, you're absolutely right. So with Coalesce needs to know, because this isn't part of Entity Framework, because usually if it's part of Entity Framework, it's just going to pick it up as part of the context. But in this case, Yeah, right. It's part of the app DBContext. And in this case, we're going to have to say Coalesce and as well as standalone entity. So those are the two things you put on this, and then it's just going to pick this up and create effectively a whole new entity for us out of that.
Okay, now we can just start putting other stuff on it. What stuff do you want to put on this?
Well, so let's put the question, maybe the question text, because that's going to be important.
What question? Oh, it's question summary.text. It's probably obvious enough that it's the question text.
You know, what we could do is we can even truncate it. That's kind of a fun thing, just like just make it a little shorter, just to show, hey, you can summarize your data. That way, if you have a super long question, you're not going to be pulling back, because really we're only going to show the first little bit. So maybe we take the first 50 characters or something like that.
We can call it text, short text maybe.
Yeah, great, perfect.
Okay, and then we want to do
an answer count.
Okay.
And I think our answer, our answer isn't required. So let's just put a bool in that says has answer.
Has correct answer or has answers?
Well, has a correct answer. So we're going to say make sure that value is set, because I think it's possible, because we have kind of a chicken and egg problem there.
Okay. There's
awesome.
All right. Anything else we want to add on this?
I think that's pretty good for now. We can always add more things if we come up with more.
We can come back.
So now we have this piece. Now it is important to put some kind of an order. You don't have to, but like you could have it if you wanted it ordered. A lot of times you have a date timestamp or something like that. We don't have any date timestamping right now, so we'll just kind of let them come out in whatever order we want at this point.
Yeah, we could also order them like alphabetically too, or something.
Right.
Oh, they have categories. So we want the category.
Oh yeah, category would be good. But let's just have category.
Well, we can add it later. Oh yeah, we can just do category.
This category name. Like, let's just hand the text. And our categories are actually a table, right?
I don't remember. See if somebody else remember before I get there. No,
we just have names.
We're lazy.
Yeah, so okay, it may or may not make sense to put that in, and we'll see.
I think I'll just make these required things that we probably want set.
Yep.
Okay. Should we go make a data source?
Yes, absolutely. Okay. So that's what we have to do now, is essentially just make a data source for this. Now, if you were doing a full-blown standalone entity, and there's two kinds of standalone entities. There's standalone entities that are effectively read-only. And if you don't create a set of behaviors or a CRUD context, you're not going to be able to update those entities. So this is effectively read-only. If you want to do that, the example kind of shows how to do that. There's a few more steps, because you have to basically implement all of those different pieces. And so in this case, we're just going to make a data source, and it's going to be a default data source.
What am I doing wrong here? Oh, I need to type this.
Right, so you're going to have to pass that in. So one thing that differs from the example in the docs is that the other one doesn't need the DB context, because it's just doing it. So like if you were using a file or something like that, there's no reason to pull in the DB context, because you're just using a file. Now, in our case, we're actually leveraging Entity Framework for this data. So we will have, there's a little bit more stuff here. You could just leave that part out if you didn't want to do it that way. So, okay, so now we basically have to override, just like we did before, the get query method.
Yep. And we can do the space still. That's fine. This is just.
And we do, did you do the, you did the constructor, right?
Yeah. I did a primary constructor.
Primary constructor, yep. Perfect. Just make sure it's working.
Okay, so now let's just do, so this is going to get, what is this going to get actually? So I don't think we want to do this. I think we want to do, so right. This is a little weird, right?
Yeah,
it's not backed by
just the beginning part, right? So yeah, we're pulling it directly out of Entity Framework.
Okay.
And so this is the first step in that long chain of things that happens to allow us to get all the things that we need.
I don't know if we need any filtering. We're just going to get all the questions, right?
I think we're going to grab all the questions. They'll be filtered later on in the process.
Yeah.
But we will have to, and then this is important to, you can essentially, I think we can just do it this way. So we'll just do new question summary, and then we can start giving parameters and essentially just create this new object right here on the fly.
Yeah.
And this is real, we are leveraging EF Core's ability to create SQL here. So there are some limitations to exactly what you can do. So you have to be a little bit careful to make sure that it can translate stuff. Otherwise, it's going to end up pulling a lot of stuff back. and calculate on the client side, or just throwing errors if you don't have it turned on to do that. So
yeah, and just to know, I just changed this ID from an int to a string.
great, has to be a string. Good.
I don't know why it's doing that. That's kind of weird. Visual Studio. Whenever I click on it, anyways, because this is a string.
Yep, definitely.
So if it was an int, we could have kept it, but I mean, we could keep it anyways, but it's not worth it. Okay, short text, so question, text. What do you want to do here? We want to just
let's just like truncate it. It's a little bit. I don't think there's a method.
Yeah, it's like
trims it to.
I think I can
trim just takes off all the white space.
I can do this. We can just do like 0 to like, I don't know, 15.
Yeah, the problem is if it's not 15, it'll throw an exception.
Oh, right. Well, we can just do length minus. Or we can do like, we can just do a thing here. We can check the length and then.
Yeah, we check. Yeah, it's a little bit tricky in line.
It's a little weird because like we don't really need to truncate the text.
Yeah, right.
So what do we want to do? We could also just not truncate it because otherwise we're gonna have like half
you
a
can truncate it later on in the process too. And then this is a part where the SQL could get a little bit weird.
Yeah.
Right? Where you end up doing a substring. Let's just include the whole thing for right now.
Okay.
We'll kind of handle that later.
I think we have to figure out what exactly we want to do there. Because we could just do like we could check the length of it and then we can like make sure it's a max number of characters, right. But we'll do that later. It's okay.
Okay, so now we get into the interesting part. So this is our answer count. And notice that answers are not included. When you include something, it means it's going to return it. We don't need to actually have it returned. We can just ask the database for the count.
Yes.
And because all those fields are indexed.
If we included it here, it wouldn't actually end up returning it.
Right, because we're not selecting it.
Yeah.
But it may return it to the client. I don't know how smart EF is. Mm-hmm. EF may still return that data to the client.
Yeah.
And then have it create the object because the object's actually created here, but or on the client side.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we have to run a couple checks to see what happens there.
This is just doing a lazy include though, where is that what it's called, lazy include?
No, that'll actually be calculated on the server.
Yeah, but it's or it's not lazy include. It's maybe it's lazy include.
Yeah, lazy loading. Lazy loading is where
lazy loading.
It's where you want a child
there's a special word for it in EF. I don't remember though.
Yeah, so that would be like, let's say you didn't load the answer.
Yeah.
And you do .answer, it will automatically go to the database when you call that. Yeah. And lazy loading is kind of tricky. I mean, it's really nice and it's convenient, but you can end up with like n or n squared database calls if you're not careful.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, instead of making one call to get all your data, as you iterate through that, you'll end up with a call every time you iterate because you're going after a navigation property that you can load. So I actually recommend that unless you need lazy loading, you should turn it off so you don't accidentally use lazy loading because it can be a huge performance hit. So basically, we're just counting the number of answers, and then we're going to go and see if it has a correct answer. In this case, you can check the ID as well.
Oh yeah, that's true.
And that may be what it's going to check.
We can just do this here. Is that what it's called? Oh, I can't use pattern matching in these lambdas.
Yeah, not equal null. There you go. Yeah, so there are some limitations here.
What's this name?
Getting an enum, the value of an enum may be trickier than
because
we want to do here.
I mean, we probably just want the enum in this case.
Since we already have everything to do it on
we thought it was a.
If that was a separate table,
it would just
which we may eventually want to create it to be, we can do that.
But yeah, we're already forgetting what we did like 3 episodes ago.
I know.
We'll just do category here because Grant's right. We already have this for the front end.
Yeah, for the front end, so it's not a big deal. If you did want to, it would be possible to do that. You may have to do some transformations, some additional transformations.
Yeah, but we're just here to show standalone entities. I don't want to get caught up in any weeds. Okay, I think that's all of our fields set.
Great.
Okay, save that. All right, is there anything else?
I think that's about it. Now, I think we run Coalesce. Let's see what happens. So this is always an interesting time when you run Coalesce to make sure that it should change files. So if it doesn't change files, usually what that means is that you have missed some kind of an attribute, a Coalesce attribute that's going to give you the data or it's going to cause the Coalesce infrastructure to find the thing that you just added.
All right, so we'll run that. Now, something interesting here. Do we need to use the default data source attribute? Whoops.
Oh, is there? If you don't label it default, well, I don't think so because it's inside the class.
Okay.
So I believe it's going to find it for us.
Okay, because I don't know what this would do as a default data source on its own, but I'm curious if we had multiple of these, then you would probably end up needing to had that default data source.
Yeah, so I actually called mine default data source. Because it's inside the class, I didn't name it with a longer name when I was building one of these over the weekend. Because it's inside the question summary, then the default data source already has the context of the containing class.
Yeah, well, so the default data source tag specifically tells Coalesce to use that when you load the entity rather than
right,
its
some other
base.
Yeah, right. I'm
not sure how they work with the standalone entities. Maybe they work differently.
I just named my class default data source.
I see.
So, but I don't think you have to. I think you're going to be fine. Well, let's double check. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, let's go see.
So let's go see what happens if we try to use this on the client side. And you can see that we did create a full controller for this. And maybe not a full controller, at least as the read attributes on it.
Okay, let's go. Well, let's start up our client side.
Yeah.
And then we can open up maybe whenever.
Let's make a new view.
Yeah, let's make a new one.
Yeah, like question summary or something like that.
Okay, let's just put something here really quick. That's not what I wanted you to do.
Great. Here's our script, language type script with the setup tag.
Okay, now let's go to our router really quick so we can find this. And we'll make it maybe right here.
Going for dashes, huh?
Yeah, well, I actually didn't. It's fine. I don't know. We haven't really set any precedent.
I don't know. We haven't.
All right, there we go. It's nice having Copilot kind of.
Yeah, it helps. It does help. You know, I think that people ask, hey, does Copilot really help you?
You just have to watch it.
Yeah. 95% of the time it makes you twice as fast, and 5% of the time it makes you 10 times as slow. Right?
Yes.
So I think it's still a net win. You just got to be careful how you use it. If you trust it too much, you're in trouble.
Okay, come on. Item list.
Okay, get the little menu. So we're setting up a little menu.
Or here, this doesn't need to be a whole thing. No, it's not helping me. Now it's bothering me.
Yeah, see, this is it's causing problems. This is where it makes you half as fast.
No, now it's lying to me. It's question summary, right? Okay.
Yeah.
See, yeah, I just gave it a compliment. And it's like, I guess it can be a circle. I don't know. Sure.
Question summary. Great. Look at that.
Sure, Copilot. We could do that.
Are those good titles or not?
Okay.
Okay, so we can go check that. Let's make sure navigation works and we're all set.
Yes. I am getting a little error, which V list.
Okay, so where are you seeing this error? You're saying you have an error. So
yeah.
Pull that onto the screen. So you can see.
I'll show you. It's stupid error. It's telling me that V item list isn't a component because I've named my thing here V item list instead of V list item. So I've just done it backwards.
But you're seeing that in the client. You can also see that in your console window that pops up. So the console window that runs as part of your backend app, you can see it there as well.
Okay, there's our question summary. It brings us to the right page.
And it works perfectly. It does nothing.
Yes, great. All right, let's, not the one I wanted to open, this one. Okay, let's go and actually write some code on there.
Let's write some code. So we should be able to use this exactly like we've used everything else. And because this is the default data source, we can just use it right out of the box. So we should have a view model that's all set up and ready to go.
Okay, so question summary, here it is. So we should be able to do const question summary equals new question summary. And we probably want the list.
The list view model, right there. So we probably want to change it to question summaries.
Yeah, now it's a weird name.
I know. Questions, I don't know.
This is where you start regretting your naming choice.
I know, for sure.
Okay, so question summaries dot load, that should be $sign. All right, and we can just see what's
Literally
happening.
that simple, right? And
Yeah,
we can go look at the database and see what's happening.
Yeah, this will now answer the question if we need that default data source.
That's right. So what do we got here?
There it is. Is that, no, it's not that, this one. This is what I want. Okay. Is this
on
right?
that preview.
It's this one. Sorry. Gotta look at the
response.
The headers. Yeah, this is the list. And we've got a default page size. Okay, list, ID. Okay, answer count category. Yeah,
Look at that. It looks like it's all the right data.
Looks right.
Boom, everything just worked. It's like magic.
Now we just have to display it. So
yep. And Meg's gonna want to make this look really nice, but we're just gonna throw something on it.
We'll do it.
Oh, you're gonna put it in the card? Yeah, I do. I knew we were
something quick.
Card.
Okay.
Oh, we're gonna put each one in a card. Okay, because we could just use a table too.
Oh, we could use a table.
Because table, there isn't like you don't actually have other information to show. I thought you were gonna use the V card and put that anyway. Whatever you can.
I don't know the table syntax off the top of my head, so let's see how this goes.
V table, yeah, there you go. And then V, or it'll be the.
Oh, it's TH.
Heading.
Yeah.
It's the T head.
And that's going to be.
Well, but it'll be you'll usually put a.
Oh right, the tag. See.
The tag, yeah.
Or is it V? What is it?
Sheesh, now they have to remember.
I know. This is where you go look up the Beautify.
Right, but it's T head. I think
It's something like that.
Yeah, T head and T body.
Okay. Like that.
Yep. And this actually doesn't. What it does is it allows you to have like multiple heading rows, and just do some more interesting stuff with using CSS stuff to style it.
Yeah.
Right.
All right.
So, and then in the TR down there, well, that's where we'll put our V4, right?
Yeah, and then for T head, I think we want.
And that'll be a TR for your under T head. There'll be a TR, and then the TH are just the columns. So
here we go.
Oh yeah, there you go. Actually, go switch the TR and the TH. There you go. So TR will be the whole row, and I'll put a TH right after that and put question in the TH. There you go. That's the.
We're learning. I haven't done a table in a minute.
Perfect.
That looks great. That looks correct. Okay, now do I need to do another TH or another TR?
Yeah, another TH. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Great.
Just duplicate that, and then that'll be the text, and then the answer count. And you're doing you're doing a duplicate right there.
Yeah, I'm doing Control D.
Great.
Okay, I think that was all of our
category. Great.
Fields. We'll see if we forgot anything. These are just TRs, right?
Yep. And then you have TDs under those.
Oh, so we do one.
You want the V4. You want the V4.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because we'll want to duplicate each row. Different frameworks work different ways, but this will actually duplicate the item that the V4 is on. Some of them are duplicate everything inside of wherever the V4 is, or the 4 kind of loop. But in this case, it just does the other side. Now we need a key for that, which we can use.
We can either use a stable ID, or is there a stable ID in this?
There's not a stable ID in this.
Okay, there.
What's that? DJ?
Interesting. There might not be. Oh, because I have notes because I didn't use the right word. That's why there's not a stable ID. Yeah, there is. I was gonna say
there should be a stable ID.
There should be. But you can also use the actual question ID. Okay. Oh, look at that.
Oh man.
Perfect. I didn't have to type it. It knew I didn't know how to write tables. I was like, I'll help you. Okay. I think let's just double check our network call, make sure I didn't forget anything.
Wow.
It looks like
this is looking really nice.
We do have a little warning down there. We'll check that out in a second. Okay, so we've got answer count category. Oh, has correct answer. Forgot that.
Yep.
Let's do that right here.
Actually, why don't we label, like change the row or something? That's okay. We don't want to get into too much.
Yeah, you could change the color though.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, it wouldn't be hard, right? It would just be right here. Equals, there, it'd be like that, right?
Yeah, whether or not those, I don't know that you can color the row that way.
Yeah, you might.
The row coloring in tables can be a little bit crazy. It's not always straightforward.
Yeah, let's see here. Green. Can I do that?
I don't think it's going to do it.
Yeah. All right.
Just because the row actually doesn't have a color. It's all the contents of the rows. And so sometimes you have to just add a class tag at that level, and then it would color all the actual TDs inside that. So
right.
there are some ways.
It would be very easy to do it. Just have to go.
We'll just put that.
Look it up. All right, and then that goes right here. Okay, that's there now. Looks like they all have correct answers, so that's good.
Sure. And what we could do is if we wanted to, you could put a checkbox in there, like having
Yeah, something nice.
a check or an X, and then color that red or green. Yeah, those things are.
Okay, what is going on here? We have a little warning. Components inside transition renders non-element root node that cannot be animated.
Okay, that's what happens when you have more than one element inside your template. So if you put the whole template inside of a div, you'll be okay.
I'm surprised because that in view 3 isn't supposed to be an issue, but maybe it's an issue for some things. Just don't know what those things are. Yeah, there you go. So that's happy.
I ran into that problem this weekend when I was writing some code. So
interesting. That might still be a problem for some things.
And so now it's really just taking the category, making it into into some real text.
Yep.
We can just reuse the other code that we have in the other part of the app to do that. So kind of show them how to do that already, but we can go and look in.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys remember over here, I think it was on our question card, right? Right here, we did this category, and this is from the models. So you can do this same exact thing here. So here, just copy that and import because it's easy. It's easier than typing it out. Delete code.
There we go.
And then here, we're just going to do category. This guy. And then I think we defaulted to 0, which was maybe unknown or uncategorized.
Now we have a whole bunch of names.
Yep.
And it's a little less stuff to throw on the client side.
Yeah. Okay.
Wow, that's great. Being pretty fast to be able to generate our own entities. And we could, in this case, hide the question ID if you wanted a link to be able to go to the editor or things like that. So there's lots of things you can do here.
And I think the important thing actually here is that you can do your C pagination, right? So
yes.
All right, let's see. Is that actually, I don't think that's correct. Let's see if I remember it. I know it's over here, so I'm just gonna go copy it. It's like C list pagination, or is it C pagination? Question.
Yeah, I forget. I did build one of these again this weekend.
C list. That's what
it is.
And this will work.
You literally just give it the list.
Just like the other.
Boom.
See,
now look at that.
We can show more, maybe.
We don't have auto load on.
Oh, right.
You have to turn the auto load on so that you get it automatic. So it's updating the underlying things. This is if you put a refresh button on there that called load, then it would be fine.
There you go. See, so
in
now,
this case,
now it's
so if you run down to 10, then you do paging, you're going to get.
And you can even put on that loader C list or C. Why am I blanking on all the things? I'm blanking on all the things I'm supposed to know. What is it? C loader? C.
It's not about knowing stuff, it's knowing where to find the things that you don't know.
I know. Is it this? That's green. Hold on. I know it's in here. It's over here. No, it's not over here. Shoot. I know we made one of these, but where did we put it?
I'm trying to remember which one it is. C loader right there. Is that it?
No, that's the one I'm trying to make. Well, I can go look at the docs. But anyways, you can use this thing if you remember what it's called. I'm
come on, we can find it. It's somewhere else in the app, right? It's on the main screen.
I swear it was somewhere.
Maybe we haven't put it in here yet.
Let's go check.
Okay.
Right here, questions. Did we?
We
put it on the edit page. That's where we put it.
C-loader status.
Yes, C-loader dev. It's this guy. It was one of those things. Okay, yeah. So, anyways, you can plop that right here, and you can say not is loading, but you can say load. And what are you mad about?
Is it $? Yeah, you have $load, right?
Yep. Oh, it doesn't need to be. I think it needed to be in a array like this, but maybe it does.
Well, there's several options. This has a lot of options because you can actually have this show up for multiple things on your page. Like if you have a load and a save. And
but I thought if you only had one, you could just put it. I wonder if this works actually with.
If you have put colon loaders.
Oh, did I?
We're not loading loaders.
There we go. See, I'm gonna blame Copilot.
You can either have an array or not an array.
There we go. Okay. Yeah. So if you only have one thing, you don't need the array. But if you're gonna have multiple things, like if you're gonna do saving or something, you want to put the array there.
So now if we go to the next page,
that
should then change. Well, it loads so fast that it probably.
I think you've got to do. Now we have to have the thing. I get that auto load on there. It's technically different. Might be wrong about that. Maybe I'm wrong.
No, not yes, not will be used. That'll be the thing. But anyway, I think it gets us really close to where we want to be with this one. It's going to show us the loader. And if you need to have another one, if it's using something else, you can just do that.
Yep.
Add it in an array, and there you go.
So anyways, it's nice though. I think the point is that you can use all of the Coalesce stuff with this. Whereas with the service, you wouldn't be able to use the loader or the paging. You'd have to do that all by yourself. So just a nicety to have.
Yep, it's a great way to summarize some data, and this is really there is kind of the concept of custom DTOs that you can use for your objects. That doesn't, I mean, that really doesn't allow you to change what you're pulling back necessarily, but allows you to kind of form it. It's more done kind of at the last second to push over to push the client side, and this really allows you to redo the whole entire process. And so I think this is probably the preferred way to do it over using DTOs. But DTOs, I think there's a few small kind of side use cases that those work for, but these I think are in general probably one to go. So anyway, anything else, Meg?
No, I think that's it.
Awesome. Well, until next time, keep on writing some amazing Coalesce apps.